So
Good
her
for
car, she had a very nice car. So in her car there was one TV in the front and one in the back. So she would show, Yokai Watch, or she would show Frozen in Japanese.
Wow, that you felt.
The toilets. Can we talk about the toilets?
Let's talk about the toilets. Hi, what's your name?
I'm Marissa. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. And where are you from, Marissa?
I'm from Texas in the US.
Lovely, great. So what's it like there?
It's very hot and humid where I'm from. So I'm from South Texas, which is quite humid year-round because we're by the ocean.
Nice. So it's similar to Japan? Or?
Yes, South Texas definitely is. I think different parts of Texas can be different in different types of the year. Like in North Texas, it's quite cold in the winter, and sometimes it even snows, especially in the Panhandle.
Wow. Do you have the same seasons as in Japan?
Yes, it's the same seasons. Yeah. It's not like Australia where we have a snowing Santa and surfing on.
That I can never get my head around that one. Okay, so how many years have you been living in Japan?
So I've been living here for about 2.5 years this year.
2.5 years. And have you always been here in Matsusaka? Or?
Yes, I have. So I've traveled to different parts of Japan, but I've always lived here in Matsusaka.
Okay, good. And what do you do?
So I'm an ALT, Assistant Language Teacher, for the JET program.
Okay, so what kind of ages are you teaching?
I'm teaching high school, but in the JET program, it just depends where you're assigned. So you can get assigned to elementary school, junior high school, or high school. I was just lucky enough to get high school.
Yeah, do you like teaching high school students?
I do. They're just quiet enough to where I'm like, oh, this is very nice, but they're just rowdy enough to where I'm not bored at all, ever.
Do you think they are rowdy, Japanese students?
So I have a couple schools, and one of the schools is a little more conservative style, lots more women, lots more girls, and so they tend to be a little bit more shy. But once they open up, you can hear screaming down the hall, and no problem. Sure. And I have another school where the students tend to be a little more rowdy, a lot of roughhousing boys. Okay. It kind of reminds me of being back home in the U.S., but I'm not going to lie.
Everywhere has it.
Yeah, everywhere does. It's not special to the U.S.
And when you're not working, what do you like to do? What are your hobbies?
Oh, I have so many. I really like to watch films. I used to work at a movie theater back in Texas.
Oh, cool.
Yes, it was a dine-in movie theater, so you could eat a whole meal. You can eat like burgers, fries, pizzas. You can order anything throughout the meal.
What a brilliant idea.
It's great. Yeah. And then I also like to crochet. So similar to knitting, but it uses one hook and some thread, and I make my own clothes. I did not make this, though.
I was going to say, did you?
No, unfortunately. It's sparkly.
Oh, wow. I don't think I met anyone who crochets. It's, sort of
grandmother
something
hobby.
you used to do. I always used to do it when I was a kid.
Oh,
I remember
really?
doing crocheting, but I was never very good at it.
Well, it's hard to get good at, I think.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
It's very fun, a good way to pass the time.
Yeah, and also, does it make you de-stress as well, do you think?
Definitely. Yeah. So I like to put on some reality TV and just crochet and watch TV and just relax myself after a long day at work.
Yeah. I think anything that, like knitting and sewing and crocheting, they're all really good for just relaxing, aren't they?
They are. Just that repetitive motion, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So is there anything that you found when you first came to Japan that really surprised you? Or
Yes. So I came to Japan for the first time in 2017, I believe, 2016, 2017. I was very young. I was about 16. And I came here on a student exchange program. So it was a sister city kind of program where I come and then the Japanese students go.
And that was Matsusaka as well? Or?
So that first time, I wouldn't say I lived there, but I was in Yokosuka in Kanagawa Prefecture. Okay. And I stayed with the host family for 2 weeks. And there, the first time I rode in a Japanese car, so not only is the steering wheel on the other side and you're driving on the opposite side of the road, but also in a lot of cars in Japan, there's a little TV on the front, in the dashboard on the front. So where like some people have the electronic thing where you can put your GPS and stuff.
The Navi, yeah.
This Navi, these types of cars have an actual TV where you can get signal and you're driving and you can watch, some comedy show, reality show, or whatever they're showing on Japanese TV.
Crazy, right? If you're driving.
I think that's insane. The first time I saw it, I was like, what is this? This is crazy. We're going to get into an accident. We're all going to die. I was panicking a little bit, but my host mother is a great driver. And she had 2 kids in the back that she had to keep entertained.
Yeah.
So her car, she had a very nice car. So in her car, there was one TV in the front and one in the back. So she would show, Yokai Watch, or she would show Frozen in Japanese. And so I always thought that was so strange that she was getting to watch TV as well as the kids in the back.
Sure,
so
yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, I guess she probably wasn't supposed to be watching TV and driving.
I think she was driving. I don't think she was watching TV. I hope.
Yeah, but that's really interesting. And was there anything that really impressed you, or wow, that you felt?
The toilets. Can we talk about the toilets?
Let's talk about the toilets. So has to be said.
It does have to be said because for lack of a better phrase, my butt has never felt better. So the toilets here are very versatile. So in the winter, or if your seat's cold, you have the seat warmer. It's
Isn't
really
that great? That's so great.
So great. And then not even just in your own home, but in any public place or nice building, there's a seat warmer. There's the little music that you can press or not press to distract from any unsavory noises that might be coming out of you or the next person's bowels. And then there is also the bidet. And the bidet, common in European countries, is not quite as common in the US. Well, at least in Texas, where I'm from.
Yes, it's not common it is common in Europe. It's not in England, but it used to be many years ago.
What happened? I wonder.
But brought it back in Japan.
So ever since the bidet has entered my life, I just felt like this is a new world for me. A new world has opened up in my life. So I told my family, if I ever move back, I'm going to have to either import a Japanese toilet or somehow add a little bidet into my toilet at home.
I was just going to say, I've heard stories, and I can't remember where, but from somewhere in the USA where they did actually import the toilet from Japan because they just loved it so much.
And it was quite expensive, I believe.
Yeah.
About $3,000.
But I can understand that, and I think unless you've been here and you've tried it, you don't know what you're missing.
Exactly. So any tourists coming out here, try the toilets.
Definitely try the toilets. But the Western toilets, but how about the Japanese style toilets? Can you do those too?
I can do those too. And so I would say the Japanese style toilets are not as bad as everyone thinks. I think that if you need to lose a few pounds, or if you're a little bit overweight, you might just need to practice squatting before you come here, just to make sure you can, get all the way down and with your feet in the same place. Because when I first came here, I'm not overweight too much, I think, but I was having trouble kind of where do I put my feet? How close, how wide do I need to be? Sometimes there's no railing, so you're okay, gotta
takes a bit of practicing.
Kind of spider my way back up sometimes. And then, to keep your legs far apart and bend down and go potty while your legs are simultaneously falling asleep. Okay. Yeah. You need to kind of have it down a little bit before you just try it. And
depending, of course, what clothes you've got on as well.
Of course. I'm not a fan of the pants.
No.
Or if you're wearing, I like the, the bootcut jeans? Mm-hmm. The bell bottoms?
Okay.
And that's just not great.
That doesn't really go well, does it?
In some places, too, there's, unfortunately, it's just like anywhere, there might be pee on the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, there's kids, there's elderly, there's people who miss. It's the same as anywhere.
Yeah, that's the problem with the Japanese style ones. But
it's hard to aim. I mean, sometimes
it is. Yeah.
And don't face the door. Face into the toilet.
Oh, my friend who did that. She actually didn't know. She didn't actually sit on the system bit, but she actually faced the other way, and then she lost her balance.
Oh my gosh!
Pulled behind her and pulled the whole thing off, and there was a big flood. And this is a true story in a hotel.
Well, at least it was a hotel. I don't know.
Yeah,
a little more money than
too
park or
happy about that though.
I hope they didn't make her pay.
I don't know. I can't remember, but I just remember we were all really embarrassed.
I would be too. I think I would never live it down. Not in my family.
Yeah, so make sure that you have a little. Most nowadays they have a little sign
Yeah,
on the door.
Somewhere around.
Yeah, no diving off the toilets.
No.
I always think that's a really good one. Don't sit on top of it.
No.
But it's quite fun. Yeah.
It's quite funny.
So we've gone down to the worst, to the bottom.
Yes.
So are there any, so we're talking a bit about problems, any other problems or anything that you found difficult dealing with in Japan?
I think, like every country, it has its difficulties. One of the things that I found a bit difficult was like paperwork and getting things like to go through the correct channels. So Japan sometimes has unnecessary routes to get to different places. So you have to kind of jump through many hoops and do things non-technologically. And what I mean by that is everything is paper or faxed. It's very difficult. Not a lot of things are uploaded to the cloud or anything.
Sure.
So, for example, when I was trying to get my driver's license transferred from the US to the Japanese one, since I'm from the US and from Texas, I have to go through kind of a process and take the test. And
so is that because you're driving on the other side of the road? Or?
I think so, yeah. The rules are a bit similar, pretty much similar, but the opposite side of the road, the wheels on the wrong side, and there are some more things that you might need to take into account, like bicycles are more common here.
Sure.
Pedestrians.
And they're on the road as well.
Yes. I mean, they're kind of on the road sometimes.
Not many cycle parks, or sometimes they're on the pedestrians.
Exactly. So before I had to, could get my license, I had to call, make an appointment, get yelled at by the lady for not knowing Japanese, get a translator to make the appointment instead. Yeah. And then I had to bring a mountain of paperwork that they may or may not need.
And did you actually get to finish to fill that out in English, or was it all in Japanese?
So it was all in Japanese.
Oh, no.
I had to get my American license translated. So I have to use the mail system. So there's no electronic transfer of that. It's all, you do it by mail, or you do a fax, or there's nothing online. So
I think everyone probably is surprised with that, because most people think of Japan as land of technology.
Yeah, very technological society.
Everything is, but actually no.
Just the toilets, I swear.
Yeah, toilets are great.
But so it was quite a long process. So I recently got my car. To get the license, it took me about 5 months, and then it took me an extra month to actually get the car, go through all the process by looking for the car, getting all the paperwork in order. So paperwork.
Did you actually have to have another driving test as well?
I did actually. Yeah. So here in Mie Prefecture, I'm not sure about different prefectures. At least in this district, we have to have the written test, which is only 10 questions and in English, thankfully. And then I have to take a driving test that I admittedly took 4 times. But it's not uncommon. It's not uncommon. So there were some people that were taking it 5, 6 times, and I've heard of someone taking it 10 times.
Oh, gosh.
So I was warned before that they were quite strict on foreigners or immigrants who are changing their license.
And I think probably quite strict anyway, because they tend to be strict on everything in Japan.
Exactly.
But I mean, I'm totally not, because I don't drive.
Rules,
so.
Right? So it did take me a while, but 4th time's the try, right?
But you got it. Well done.
I did.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
So how about Japanese food? Do you like Japanese food?
I love Japanese food. So I'm actually quite the foodie.
Yeah.
I really love to eat. It's my hobby. I will say that's my favorite thing to do besides crochet and watch films. So eating is my favorite thing. There's so many different types of Japanese food, and I love to eat Japanese food or foreign foods that are made in a Japanese style. So as far as Japanese foods, I really love the classic, ramen, which is actually from China, but the Japanese take on it is very delicious. I also enjoy omurice, which is also technically a fusion food and not just Japanese food. But of course, there's the classic set, which we actually had tonight. It had, salmon and some small salads, miso soup with clams. That's the English word for it. Clams. Japanese stuck in my head. Some seaweed with, some delicious flavoring. So just a bunch of different types of Japanese style food, all in one little tray, or big tray, I will say.
So I think it's probably quite different. I don't know about in Texas, but we tend to eat one big plate of something or other.
Yes.
But here in Japan, they quite like to have lots of little different dishes, which is quite nice.
It's quite nice. I love the variety. I think something that I miss when I visit home or when I make food myself is that at least we were taught you get a protein, you get a carb, you get a vegetable, or two if you're being healthy. And in Japan, it's like, well, you can get, different types of vegetables and little salads and things. You can get some tofu, you can get your protein and your carved rice and your nice little soup. And there's just so many small dishes that make it interesting to eat and are very filling.
Yeah, and probably maybe easier to get kids to eat their veggies, maybe.
I think so.
I guess, yeah.
I hope so. I don't have any kids, so I don't know, but it's very delicious. So,
is there anything you don't like?
Yes. So, of course, I don't have that much experience from living in Texas. Despite living near the ocean, I don't have much experience with squid or octopus.
Raw fish.
I like raw fish. I will say we did go to some sushi restaurants growing up. I just could never do the octopus. This the leg thing, the sucker thing.
I think the texture as well.
The texture is too chewy for me.
Yeah, me too.
The scent is a little bit fishy to me. Like fish is fishy, but octopus and squid are like fishy. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then I'm not too big on shellfish, but the clams we had today were great. I did like those. And then something I don't like that I think is quite funny. A lot of people make fun of me for this. I don't like what's called katsuobushi. Bonito flakes.
No, I can understand that actually. I think probably quite a lot of foreigners don't like it because it's a really unusual texture, taste,
so,
and then just the way they move.
Yeah, so if you get takoyaki, the fried octopus balls, if you get okonomiyaki, so kind of like the pancake with
they call
cabbage.
it Japanese pizza, but it's not a pizza.
It's more
like
a pancake, and it is not. So on top of it comes these little flakes that kind of dance with the heat, and they look like they're alive, but they're not, and they taste very fishy. So I do not like that really fishy flavor. I think
it's quite strong, isn't it?
It's a common theme with me. Super fishy flavors are not my favorite.
It would be nice to be asked, Do you
would you like this? The answer would be no.
And is there anything you miss from home? Any food that you miss?
Of course. So recently, actually, I will say, I had this candy in Japan that really took me back. So the cinnamon is not super big here. Cinnamon is not super popular, which means that my favorite cinnamon candies, they're nowhere to be found here.
Okay.
So I recently ate a cinnamon hard candy here in Japan and was shocked, and now I need to go find it.
I don't know if I ever eaten a cinnamon candy.
So I'll get you some when I go back. So in the U.S. there's hot tamales and red hots. Those are my favorite. The hot tamales are like these kind of gummy candies. That are kind of spicy and cinnamon, and then the red hots are spicy and cinnamon. We also have cinnamon gum that's hot.
Wow.
So we like our cinnamon and spice. But in Japan, I really do miss those kind of candies. I always ask my mom to send them. And then the big thing for me has been pickles. Pickles. And in Japan, we have these things called pikurusu, which is a translation of pickles, but they are not the same. No. So in Texas, we have this brand called Best Made Pickles, and shout out to Best Made for making the best pickles in the whole world.
And what kind of pickles are they? Is it a brown pickle, a yellow pickle? Or...
That's a green pickle. I thought all pickles were green until I came to Japan when we have pickled items. So I think Japan's pickles are just different types of vegetables pickled.
That are pickled,
But in America, we have cucumbers, like big cucumbers or small ones, gherkins, that are pickled.
Gherkins,
I think the Best Made brand does it the best. They're very sour and very salty. They have some different varieties as well. But I can never find a truly salty and sour pickle here. It's always sweet. It's always slightly sweet. So I'll kind of sometimes bring them back. And
they sound good. We have completely different pickles in England as well. So maybe every country is different.
We should all share our pickles.
I love a pickle party.
Pickle tasting, pickle charcuterie board.
So do you have pickled onions? And
I don't have. Well, I think we have them, but I don't eat them.
So they're a big thing in England.
But jalapenos are very big.
So
in Texas especially. Where
again, really spicy.
Close to Mexico. Very spicy.
So you're good at spicy stuff. Okay, right. So any different, well, we've talked about some, but any other different customs that you found sort of strange in Japan? Or
that's a hard question. I feel like I feel like when you come to Japan, it's use your sense, use your common sense. So to some people, you know, you come to Japan and you're like, oh, why are people taking off their shoes when they enter the house? Why are people being quiet on the train or on the bus? But I don't think that I ever found that difficult to like adhere to or anything. You know, I can be kind of cognizant of the people around me, and I should be like, okay, this is not, you know, I need to be quiet in this situation, or okay, they took off their shoes, I should take off my shoes. So it's never been necessarily difficult for me to, you know, get used to these customs, but they do exist, and they might shock people when they come.
Yeah, I think you should read up about it, definitely, because it is, you know, if you just, like, you don't take your shoes off, it is a big no-no, you know.
Right. It is. I've never had that experience, so maybe that's just me. But yeah, if you don't take your shoes off, no.
Yeah. I know, and also, I mean, I suppose from the point of hygiene, you know, it's actually very hygienic.
It is.
I mean, we do actually tend to put on slippers, but sometimes they'll put on slippers here, but you know, everybody has to take their shoes off. Whereas, you know, you might go in, plod through, sit down, and then take your shoes off.
Right. Although I do have not a problem with it, but I don't like feet. And I think sometimes people's feet smell. My feet smell sometimes. So it's not my favorite thing when everybody takes off their shoes. But sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's fine. Yeah. Sometimes we enjoy a nice, relaxing day and nobody has their shoes on, and it's great.
That's a good point, yeah. So any other stories or about any adventures that you've had, or kind of like something that went really wrong, or...
So I have a couple of funny or interesting anecdotes.
Yeah.
So,
cool.
Some people don't know about karaoke in Japan. So in karaoke in Japan, there is like different rooms in a building. You have many different rooms.
Karaoke box,
yeah. Karaoke box. It's like, sometimes they're small, sometimes they're a little big. Yeah. And so you can go with, you know, 5, 6, 7, 10 friends, whatever, 2 friends. And you go in your little group, or you can go alone. I've never been alone, but it's always a goal of mine. I love to sing. You can go to these karaoke boxes and you can enjoy, you know, singing for as long as you want, pretty much. It's not so expensive, especially when you share with a group. So one time I was in a different city with my friend, and we were, you know, going to the fireworks festival, coming back after having some drinks, and we were like, let's go to karaoke. And so we went to karaoke, and it got late, and we missed our last train. So we're like, okay, what are we gonna do? We gotta leave this karaoke room. We decided to sleep in the karaoke room because it would be cheaper than renting a hotel for the night.
Yeah.
So it was very cold in the karaoke room, and at that time I was quite new to Japan, and I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about, you know, the temperature, how to change the temperature in the room or anything. And my friend, he was asleep. He was out cold. And I was cold. So he was out cold. I was cold. So I was freezing the whole night. I wake up the next day. I'm tired. I just want to go home. So I'm a couple hours away from my house by train. So I go to the train station. It takes me 5 hours to go home because I am so exhausted that I keep falling asleep every time I get on my train. And so I would wake up and the next train had already gone. And then, I'd wait, 30 minutes for the next train, and then I get on that train, and then I'm on that train for way too long. It took me 5 hours to get home, necessarily. So
that's a story. So talking of traveling, have you been to many places in Japan?
I've been to some places. I haven't been to that many places, and one of my friends has been to almost every prefecture. Next month, he will have been to every single prefecture in Japan. So as for me, I haven't been to that many prefectures. Although when I say them right now, you'll be like, oh, you've been to so many places. So I've been, of course, to Tokyo, to Kanagawa. I've been to Kyoto and Osaka and Hiroshima and Nara and Aichi, and of course Mie Prefecture. So I've been to kind of the ones in Kansai area.
And the main tourist areas.
Yeah, the main tourist areas in this. But I really want to go. Hiroshima was a really nice place that I really enjoyed going.
I was going to ask you, where did you like? Yeah.
Well, I went to Itsukushima Jinja, so Miyajima Island. Nice. And I have actually been there twice. So the first time was the second time I came to Japan. I was here for a month where we traveled to most of those places. And we were a big group of students and our kind of chaperones, which were our teachers, and they were teaching us throughout as we were traveling through Japan. And so when we got to Hiroshima, and we went to the museum for the Holocaust, kind of Holocaust museum.
That is very moving, isn't it?
I cried.
Yeah,
I cried.
Me too.
I came back. I went back this year with my family. They came to visit in Japan, and I cried again. So no matter how many times you go, it's very moving.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But we took the ferry to Miyajima or Itsukijima.
Oh, that's amazing, isn't it? Miyajima's
so
just has to be done. Yeah.
And I took all these nice pictures, and I did, the first time I went, I did my first omikuji. So I had my first little fortune, and I don't recall that it was that great, but it wasn't bad, so it was okay.
Yeah, I mean, I can never read what's in them, but trying to get someone to translate it.
That's why
it's
we
like
had
your
teachers.
fortune papers that you get at the shrines.
Yes,
yeah.
And they say if you keep them in your wallet all year, you'll have good luck in money.
Okay.
So I don't think I had great luck, but yes. And then another place that I've been to is Iwate Prefecture, Rikusentakata. So many years ago, 2011, there was the earthquake and tsunami that was very devastating to that region. And so during my study abroad, we got to visit and just see like the relief efforts that they were doing. So they had created this really huge road for like evacuation. So before there was no road for evacuation, so many people during the tsunami were swept away because there was just no road. And this time they also had started building like a large seawall to kind of disrupt any tsunamis that were coming. Right. So I saw, and I was very moved also by the people that we met there, because you could tell that their city and their town has been through so much, heartbreak and so much in those last years. So that was in 2019. So
it'd be nice to go back and sort of see what it's like now.
It would
probably got everything completely. I mean, they do it so quickly, don't they?
They do. I was so surprised.
There was that recent tsunami was a couple of years ago, and completely devastated. Yeah. And yet, they've got all the roads, they've got everything is done, everything's rebuilt. It's just so crazy. I mean, they started building, I think it's apartments or houses at the end of my road at like the beginning of last week, and they're kind of like,
done.
well, yeah, probably about the end of next week they'll be done. I mean, gosh, we never get that in England. I don't know about in America, but
not in Texas. So we spend so much on construction and road, infrastructure, and yet it takes so many years. Yeah, I'm waiting, and we're still waiting for the road to be finished. So that like 3 years ago, I was like, oh, when is this road going to be done? Still not done. I'm going to get back in a couple months. Not going to be done. It won't be done. No, never. My pace. Well, I'm in Japanese. They certainly go everything really. So how about onsen? Do you like onsen? I do. Yes. So if anybody likes being in hot water, feeling like a vegetable in a soup, I think onsen is for you. Yeah. So at first, I was so hesitant to go into onsen. So onsen is like a big pool or kind of like a bathhouse, hot water. So there's a natural hot spring, and it's so nice until you realize you have to be naked in front of everybody. Right. I think that is the main, maybe the put off for a lot of foreigners. Well, it was for my parents too. I asked them, do you want to go? Do you want to have the experience? No. My dad was, no. Yeah. I'm good, thank you. I don't want to see anybody else's. Okay, Dad, I understand. But the first time I came, I was invited, and we ended up not going. I think somebody got sick, and so we couldn't go. But the second time I came here, there was actually a sento, which is a man-made onsen, usually in public baths. Like there's in hotels, they have the sento. Sure. So a similar idea. And all of the people from my school were going, all the girls, in the girls' bath. Yeah. And I was like, well, I want to go. Like, this sounds cool. And so I just ripped the Band-Aid off, and I was, naked in front of all my friends. And you do have a small towel. You're not just, completely without a guard. Well, for the girls, I felt like everybody was just flying free, so I flew free. I flew free that day. But if you are a bit, you do have a little towel. You do have a towel. You can bring your towel. So it was neat because I didn't know that you needed to wash before you go in. Right, yeah. So the first time I went in, I was kind of shocked. Okay, I have to wash my body, rinse off, and then to be clean, then I can go in the onsen. Yeah, because I think our way of having a bath is, you're washing the bath. You wash the bath, and then the bath is all dirty, and you're sitting in your dirty bath. It's crazy, really, when you think about it.
you know, the Japanese are so clean, and the way that they logically think about it, it's just, yeah, right, that makes sense. And everybody's washed, so when you actually go in the bath with everybody, you know, everyone's clean, so it should be fine.
Yeah. It was nice. I really enjoyed it, and you know, I went back when I came to live here. I went to the best place ever. I've never been to any other big places, but Spa World in Osaka was amazing. They have all these different types of onsen rooms, like themed rooms. So there was one with the Singaporean merlion shooting out water every 12 minutes.
Oh, wow.
It was really neat. And then there was the room where you can get, like there's the pool, and then they have this little like barrel or bucket that you can lay in. And then it's like an outdoor part. So the merlion was indoors, and this part is outdoor. Then they have these tatami mats that you can get on and cool down, and then you can come back in the hot water. They also had like a Himalayan salt sauna.
Oh, nice.
So you can rub the salt and exfoliate your body, and then go outside.
Yeah, there's so many. I mean, some of them have the stone baths. And the hot stone baths and the steam saunas.
The cold one, the cold dips.
The hot and the cold ones,
supposed to be good for your body. Oh, the one where I don't know what it is. They have these bubbles in the water.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's supposed to be good for your skin. I don't know about it.
That's good. And then have you ever had the milky bath one?
Oh, no.
It's completely white. And I was like, oh my God, is that milk? But it's like, it's I don't know what it is, some kind of herbs or something.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be, but it really, really does feel nice. It's kind of, I felt like I was Cleopatra in my sort of bath with milk. That's what I imagined.
Yes.
And they can be quite elaborately decorated as well.
Absolutely.
Lots of themes.
Spa World was great.
Yeah.
Very decorated, very elaborate.
Do you like the outdoor baths as well?
I think I like the outdoor bath the best.
Yeah, me too.
So when I get too hot, I can just stand up, cool down, sit back down.
And it's really nice if you go in the winter.
Yes.
Like if it's really cold and you run outside and then you get in the bath and it's really, cool.
And it's
really
so
cool.
steamy too. And the scenery is usually very nice.
Yeah,
you know,
beautiful there.
Small waterfalls, just relaxing.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something to be done. And there's something about sitting down and washing, I think is quite, it's good.
Yeah, I agree. And then you get to do it with your friends, which kind of destigmatizes the human body, which I like. So many women, I think in the US, can be a bit shy about showing their bodies to other women because I think, there's the culture of comparing yourself to other women and, what if I don't look like them and I'm super shy? Oh. But in Japan, I think we all have a good idea of what each other's bodies look like, and so it's not so taboo.
Yeah, I think it's probably, and from a young age as well, because
kids go with their mom and dad.
Yeah, so I think that, it's good. Maybe, we would be less shy about our bodies and things. Yeah, it would be better. But who knows? Anything else that you'd like to share with us?
Yes, actually.
Good.
So, well, it's not like happy good, I will say. Oh. It's kind of a sad or frustrating good. So, I came here to live here a couple of years ago, and after a month, I fell down the stairs. Ooh. And I broke my ankle.
Oh no!
So it was the first bone I had ever broken. I was in a foreign country with no family and only a limited Japanese ability. So I had to go to the hospital, and luckily I had amazing coworkers that really supported me and helped me through the whole process, translated for me, brought me things, took me to get things. Really amazing. So that was a great part.
Yeah.
The bad or not so great part was going to the doctor and having, being told I need surgery.
Right.
So when you get surgery in Japan, there's a lot of differences, I would say, than there are from the U.S. So I've never had like a major surgery, and I think ankle surgery is not so major, but my other surgeries have been, come in, have surgery, leave, same day. Mm-hmm. In Japan, just my minor ankle surgery, I think it's minor, was 3 days. I spent 3 days at the hospital. That's a long time for someone to be at the hospital who is from the U.S., who is used to in and out surgeries. So I had to stay for 3 days. The first day, they did all the testing. I just relaxed with my broken ankle. And then the next day we were set to have the surgery. So during the surgery, or planning the surgery, they said, okay, you're going to be awake because you don't need to go to sleep. It's just ankle surgery.
Right.
And I was like,
wow.
Whoa. What? I was so scared.
Gosh.
Very scared. And so what they did was they put in the anesthesia in like the spine area to numb just half of your body.
Okay.
And for me, that was kind of scary because, I watch doctor shows
yeah.
on Netflix. Okay, I know that there is, that's dangerous. The spinal area, very dangerous. So not having a full body anesthesia was very scary for me.
Yeah, and also actually watching them do the procedure, I suppose.
Being awake and smelling them drilling into my bone and feeling them hammering the nail into my ankle bone was not great. So I did have a lot of anxiety. So the second kind of really stressful part came after the surgery. So I was feeling good, on all those anesthesia was great. Then it started to wear off.
Okay.
And then when it wore off, I was in excruciating pain.
Oh.
And the most they could do for me was give me Tylenol. Or what would equate to Tylenol in the US. And kind of like the extra strength, but it's not really that strong. Because I just had like 2 nails drilled into my bones, and they just cut me open. So Japan is really strict on drugs when you have surgery. So there's like an opioid thing here where that is very illegal.
Yeah.
And
they don't use many, do they?
They don't use those kind of stronger drugs like a Vicodin or oxycodone or whatever because they're very addictive.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was the really difficult part for me. Not that I want to have those drugs because I don't want to get addicted, but at the same time,
you needed something.
I needed something. I was crying all night long. I was, it hurts.
And did they sort of feel that? Did you feel that was kind of normal? They just kind of
it was so normal. I asked the doctor, can you give me, this medicine afterwards? And they said, we only give that to cancer patients. And I was like, okay, I guess this is normal here. I was kind of offended by that, but okay. So it was kind of a difficult experience for me, and that was something really hard for me to accept that cultural difference because they just saw it as something very normal, and I don't think they had so much sympathy for me at that time because they're like, well, this is just what we do. This is normal. Like, why are you so in pain? Because I've never broken anything. I've never had surgery. I'm alone in this country. Well, all the traumatic things that happen when you're alone in a country that you're new to after 1 month of being. So I had the surgery to remove the pins the next year. So that was last year. It's been over a year. I'm completely healed now, thankfully.
Yeah.
But the second time, it did go better.
That's good.
So.
And how about the actual hospital itself? How did you feel the treatment in the hospital? What were the nurses like? What was the food like? How was the...
So the first time I think was a little different from the second time. The first time I felt the nurses were a bit cold to me, but when you have that anesthesia, they do have to go and help you go to the bathroom, and they'll wipe you and then clean you up after you go to the bathroom. So I felt that was really really nice of them to like not complain about it or not seem very scared about it. And they try to talk to me and be like, "Are you okay? Like, do you need anything?" Something I didn't really like. About the hospital was that you have to bring your own everything or you have to pay for it. So they don't offer you a towel. Like, it's not free. You have to pay for the towel. Or, like, they don't offer you the gown or whatever. You have to bring your own clothes. What else did you have to add? The toothbrush, which, okay, you might bring your own toothbrush. A cup. They won't even give you a cup. You have to bring your own cup to brush your teeth and drink the water and spit in. And your own cup to drink water from. So...
And if you're living alone and you haven't got anyone to do that for you.
Exactly.
It's so difficult, isn't it? Yeah.
I had to pack my own bag with my broken ankle, limping around like, okay, here's my bag.
And were you in a ward with other people? Or?
I was. Yeah. So this is kind of funny. I was in a ward with maybe 6 or 5 people, and everybody's fairly quiet, kind of old elderly people who maybe had just had surgery or are recovering. And then I go in for my surgery. I come back out. And, after a while, it's nighttime, my anesthesia has worn off, I am in excruciating pain, and I can't stop making noise. So they just, without telling me, they just wheel me into a different room by myself because I was just so annoying to the other guests, I think.
But they didn't actually say, look, you're being a pain, we're going to take you.
They didn't say
and
anything.
You were like, where am I going?
I know.
So you had a private room.
Private room to sob in pain. But I think that the treatment the second time was a lot better. I had increased my Japanese ability by that point, so I could make a little bit more conversation. I was a little more level-headed at that time too.
Yeah.
Not so traumatized by the whole I'm so alone. I can't do anything by myself.
Is it. Yeah. And like you say, you were in a foreign country. Foreign everything. You didn't speak the language. You're not used to the
family.
customs.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like so. And
I did have a better experience, but the food was really great both times. So the first time I wasn't super hungry, but the second time, I was awake and able to eat a little more. So they had like full-on meals. So think kyushoku or Japanese like school meals.
Yeah.
So they have your rice, they have your protein, they have your vegetables, and they'll have a little fruit for you, and then they have milk or water. Or you have your own water that you have to bring sometimes, whatever. And so they have, a nice little meal for you at every meal. And the portions are kind of small. I was getting a bit hungry, but it's, to make sure that, based on your body weight, and to make sure that you are getting the right nutrients.
Yeah, I felt the same. It was good, but they were quite small.
Yeah, so you can bring some snacks. Like, they never opposed me having snacks.
Sure.
So I brought some chips and
I
brought some just a little something.
I had people visit me and bring lots of things. I was very lucky. I had a room myself.
How long were you in there for?
I was actually there for the maximum I could be was 2 weeks.
Oh, it's so long. Though.
And I didn't want to be in there for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
but
me neither.
But my husband said, "Yeah, you're going to stay there. You're going to have a rest." So I was like,
2 weeks?
Well, okay. I had lots of visitors. I was really lucky, and I also had my own room with. It had own bathroom and my own kitchen. I had a fridge.
Wow.
And people were bringing me cakes and
Did you have to pay to use the fridge and the TV?
To be honest with you, I really don't know.
Because I did. They said if you want to use the TV or the fridge, you're gonna have to put money on a card,
the TV
and then
was a card. Yeah.
stick it into the TV to pay it or something.
That's right. I remember that the TV was a card. I thought that was bizarre.
I think so too.
Yeah, I don't remember the fridge, but possibly was.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I think. So I thought that was kind of strange. And then when I was using the crutches, they lent them to me, but we did have to pay. But then when I gave them back, we got the money back.
Okay.
So that was really cool. It's something I didn't think that would have in the U.S.
Right.
They would, you want to use this? The fee is to use them. Thank you. Yes.
Well, I suppose it makes you sort of take care of them and bring them back if you knew.
If you want your money, bring them back safely.
Sure,
I did take them to the beach. I was crutching on the sand. It was a very interesting time. But they were fine, and I got my money back. So
well, yeah.
We're good.
I'm glad you're okay now.
Thank you. I'm glad, too. It was a time.
So a lot of experiences. Anything else that you'd like to say to anyone who's thinking of maybe going to Japan or is a bit apprehensive or not sure what they want to do or where they want to go or what they need to? Well, we talked about a few things that we think people should look out for.
Yeah. So I think if you're planning on going to Japan, before you go, always do the research about the customs. You don't want to offend anybody, but I would say don't take everything so seriously. When my parents came, they had a little bit of anxiety. Am I doing this right? I don't want to offend anybody. And I said, if you make a mistake a few times, it's going to be okay. I hope nobody's going to get in your face and scream at you. They understand that you're a foreigner, and as for me, I'm an immigrant, and it takes time to learn and get used to these customs.
Sure.
Now, I'm not saying to go and be really loud on the train, and it's okay, and be taking pictures of people and videos and getting in people's face. Now, that's just use common sense.
Yeah.
It's common sense.
Sure.
Be kind. Be thoughtful of others. That's a really big thing here, is to be thoughtful of the society and the people who are around you.
Yeah, and people are very thoughtful.
Yeah, they are.
I think they're generally very helpful, even if they can speak English.
Yeah, and even if they can't, they'll kind of point, or they'll use the translation app. And
it's really good. I remember my mum used to take her own fork because of the chopsticks. She said, I can't use chopsticks.
My parents sometimes
she took her own fork. And she wouldn't go in the onsen either. But I do recommend it. We do recommend the onsen.
I just try to get past that. If you're a woman, maybe you're a bit shy or you don't want to see anybody's things. If you're a man, I know you don't want to see anybody's party, but sometimes you just gotta look away. Although I've heard stories that Japanese men may or may not look at your party if you're naked because they want to see the size. So just be warned. You've been warned. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not a woman.
I didn't know about that. When I first came to Japan, there were very few foreigners because it was a very small village. And they just used to be amazed every time when the onsen used to come up and touch us, our skin, and I don't know. I've heard that they find it very interesting.
Yeah.
They're interested about different people. I mean, we're all human. We've all got the same bodies, but
different colors, different sizes, different shapes.
But generally, people don't sort of stop and stare at you. Everyone's just getting on with their business. So you know, try it.
Another thing I would recommend or say is just hopefully you'll have a support system or people supporting you who, you know, want you to succeed here and will help you to succeed. So don't let anybody tell you otherwise. You know, if you want to do this, you should do it. But make sure that, you know, some people in your life can support you, and, you know, it can be very isolating, especially if you get into some trouble, like me with my ankle. You know, I have great family that was calling me, texting me, just checking in on me to make sure I was okay. And I had some really nice friends and coworkers that came and helped me, gave me food, and just, you know, helped me to feel okay and not so isolated.
Yeah.
So that's really important, to have people who are going to check in on you, even if they're, you know, a million miles away.
Yeah.
So make sure you can establish some sort of connection with those people, or the people around you when you get here. That's really helpful. And if you can't, well, you can do it alone. I believe in you. I believe in you, so you should believe in yourself.
And I think that's the perfect note to end on. Thank you very much, Marissa.
You're welcome. It's lovely to be here and join you for this.
Good.
Thank you.
Bye.
Get it?